Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Cafe Esoterica Radio on Blog Talk Radio. With your hostess with the mostest, metaphysician, psychic medium, tarot reader, author, astrologer, past life regressionist, Shawn M. Cohen, that's me, live in London, England. I invite you to come on in, relax, pull up a cozy chair, or get comfy on the couch and listen to wonderment. Drink in your favorite libation, a cappuccino, a latte, or perhaps a herbal tea, and savor a warm cup of knowledge as we transform, enlighten, and awaken your soul with unique guests from the mind, body, and spirit genres, practitioners in the know, enlightened guests, deep discussion, magic, metaphysics, and mirth are always on the menu here at Cafe Esoterica Radio. So come on in. If you want to call in and be part of the show, we welcome your calls. The number to call is outside the United States, you'll have to dial 001, but inside the United States, you dial 516, area code 387-1809. And scroll down to the bottom of the landing page and you'll find our chat room. Come on in, participate in the chat room. If you want to sign up for a free listener's account on Blog Talk Radio, you will then be able to display your name in the chat room. But either way, we welcome you. Our website is www.cafeesoterica.wixsite.com/radio show. And if you'd like to be on the show, please do email Shawn at cafeesoterica@gmail.com. We go live every Thursday, 7 to 9 p.m. UK time, 2 to 4 EST, 2 to 4 in the afternoon, and 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Pacific Coast, and worldwide. Your table is reserved. So come on in. Hello, everyone in listening land all over the world. It's my pleasure and my joy to see lovely, lovely people who are listening out there in the stats after every show. You know, Blog Talk Radio does something wonderful. It shows you who's listening. And no point in doing a show if nobody's listening, to be honest. You know, it's a complete waste of time. But if you have your heart in the right place, you want to give this valuable information and help to people all over the world who are seriously hungering for what I call enlightenment. Okay, maybe somebody else won't call it enlightenment. Sorry, I'm just going to shut my door here for a minute. But what I call enlightenment is awakening, ascension, awareness, enlightenment. Okay, so you know, here we are, we're heard now this is Cafe Esoterica Radio, in case I didn't say the name, and I am your hostess with the mostest, Shawn Cohen, and we are heard in, wait for it, listen to this, China. Hello, China. Hello, India, and happy Diwali tonight, or today, because wherever you are, whatever time it is there. And my last guest, which was Pundit Kati, hold on one second. Let me just read his stuff. Hold on one second. Here it is. Pundit Kati Narhari, Vedic astrologer from the Academy of Yogic Sciences, was my guest last week. He is from India. And so I want to just say blessings and thank you for being a wonderful guest on my show last week. And this week we have a wonderful guest too, which I will bring up. But let me just go back to this idea of who's listening. So we have all over the USA. My highest stats are in the USA. I guess that's no surprise considering that I'm American and, you know, although that doesn't matter really. I live in London. I'm in the UK. But Blog Talk Radio is very well known in the USA, you know. But we have 63% high considering the world, that's so high. That's wonderful. It makes my heart sing. We also, Canada is very high, and of course the UK, where I am, and all over Europe. Not a city or a state that isn't tuned in. It may be 1%, it may be 15%, but whatever it is, they're listening. Vietnam, Indonesia, Australia, all the Kiwis and the Aussies are listening. Thank you for tuning in. I love you guys. I have plenty of people I know from those places. I also want to say a big hello to South America because we've pretty much picked up all of South America. We have Chile, Bolivia, and Argentina. And we have Mexico. And if I haven't said your place, don't worry. I will eventually get there. What else now? We have Russia. Imagine that, Russia. And we also have bits of Africa. So Chad, Guyana, South Africa. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for listening to my show. I'm only one person. This is a one-woman experience here. This is the show that I created. I've been a metaphysics teacher for many years, as you heard in the introduction. And my pleasure to bring people with really great information to the show. I don't get paid for the show, and neither do they, but they're here. They're here to help you. And my guest today is absolutely no exception. She originally hails from Sweden, and by the way, Sweden's listening, and Denmark, which I love. I've been to both, and Norway and Holland. So I didn't want to leave you guys out. So here we have, her name is, she created the Holistic Wealth Academy. She's an astrologer, a soul aligner. Her name is Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon. And she is originally from Sweden, as I said, and she's now living and married here in the UK. Let me take a moment to just tell you who's going to be on next week, and then I'll go into her bio, and then I'll bring Gennye up. So, we have a great show. I have a couple more shows going on, and then I'm going to have a break. I'm going to have a break for the month of December. I just need it. I want it. I reckon most people are going to be busy with the holidays, so that's okay. That works for both of us. And then I'll come back in the new year. Jupiter has just moved into Sagittarius, which is fabulous. It's going to calm a lot of this maniac stuff going on out there in the world. I hope, unless it brings more fanaticism, and then we want to, we want to nip that in the bud a little bit. But anyway, the point is that I'll be away the month of December. I'm not away like out of town, but I'm just having a break. I'm going to spend time with my daughter, my friends, and I'm going to work on a book. I've got a book that's going to be available to my audience, and it's called In This Metaphysical Moment. So anyone who listens to the show knows if they get to the end of the show that I do this little thing called In This Metaphysical Moment. And it's sort of encapsulates, or it's like a little mini bit of the show, and it gives advice in this metaphysical moment. I will allow myself to be abundant, because today we're going to talk about abundance and prosperity for people who are sometimes to make a living. So Gennye, my guest, that's her specialty. But this book will be available for Christmas presents and Hanukkah presents and any kind, just as an oracle. So you open it to a page, you ask a question first, you open it to a page, and boom, there's your answer. And it will be in this metaphysical moment, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So using the law of oracles, the law of in this metaphysical moment, you'll be able to find the answers to a lot of things you need. And the law of synchronicity, I was going to say. Okay, so let me go now. So I think, and next week is Greg Prescott. Oh, we just thought, see that? Just had a little thing fly by. I have quite a few of these orbs floating around me as I'm taping the show. I don't know why that happens particularly now, but it does. So that was interesting. If you didn't see it, rewind and go back. It was a blue streak. So let me just talk about Greg Prescott, who is my guest next week. I love Greg. I know him many years. He is single-handedly helping the Gulf of Mexico to heal from red tide. He has been on my show before. I've been on his show when he had his show from in5d.com. Most people in the New Age, spiritual, holistic, and even conspiracy people know Greg because Greg's website, in5d.com, has been around now for quite a few years, and it is the go-to place for information, anything to do with mind, body, spirit. So I'm so happy to have Greg on. And then the following week, we're going to have Chris Evers, who is the publisher and the editor and the creator of outerlimitsmagazine.co.uk, which was an online magazine all about UFOs, aliens, everything to do with the whole UFO phenomenon. And Chris has now decided to put it out as a subscription magazine. So I also write for that magazine. He's asked me to do a column, which I do, called Metaphysical Astrology. And in fact, the issue coming up December the 1st is going to be about what happened in Pittsburgh. Because you know I'm from Pittsburgh, that's my hometown, and everything that happened there, that horrific shooting in the synagogue in Squirrel Hill. I grew up in that neighborhood, or I grew up in Stanton Heights, but we were always associated with Squirrel Hill, the Jewish neighborhood. So I have a lot to say about that, and it is in the one that's coming out in December the 1st. So Chris will be my guest. He'll be on the 22nd of November. I haven't yet booked a guest for the 29th. I'm still contemplating a couple different people, or I may just come on and give free readings all night, for 2 hours to just say have a happy holiday. I'm still contemplating that. So there's all the show news. Now you know everything. If you're here, please write in the chat room and say hello. And if you want to speak to my guest, Gennye, you can. You can call in. I would prefer you call in the second hour because I want to talk to Gennye and interview her and talk about her work and how she came to be in the work she's in. It's a very interesting, amazing story. And But I usually take all calls in the second hour. The number is area code 516, that's Long Island, New York, 387-1809. So if you do want to call in, you can, but I may not get you to the second hour. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to bring up Miss Gennye. I'm going to read her bio, and then we're going to talk to her. She's calling in all the way from Tenerife right now, even though she's living in the UK. And her bio is amazing. So I'm going to open her mic. But first I'm going to read this. So Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon is a healer and spiritual coach, mentor, and ascension facilitator. Gennye was born she was born in Sweden. She's a native of Sweden, moved to the UK in 1998. After a strong spiritual experience where she had a soul upgrade called a reincarnation in the same body, which is, wow, we're going to talk about that. Most of you would not have heard of what this is, but this is what brought her onto the spiritual path as a way of life. Spirituality and mysticism have always been a part of her life. She loved astrology from a very young age. The way she perceived life was normal for her, but not so normal for most people. Boy, all my guests say that, every single one of them. She knew from an early age that she wanted to be a part of changing the world into a better place. Amen. She studied business and marketing at the university in Sweden, but being a spiritual wanderer, she decided to travel the world and work in hospitality for the years to come. In 1998, she came to London to study astrology and esoteric studies, counseling, massage, coaching, and healing. She is a lifelong learner and always striving to go higher, and has, since 2001, run her own successful spiritual business, helping people to align with their intuitive spiritual powers clear their path to abundance, living healthy, empowered, and happy lives. It's wonderful. Gennye lives in Weybridge, Surrey, with her family, her 2 children, and husband. It's Gennye's mission to inspire and empower people awakening spirituality around the world to activate their spiritual gifts and talents and to design a life aligned with their soul purpose, filled with personal, spiritual, financial, and emotional success, simply living heaven on earth. Does that sound great or what? So, Gennye, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you fine. We can hear you great. And how are you in Tenerife tonight?
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful because it's, we get a bit of winter sun away from the UK, which is pretty, could be quite cold now. I'm not sure actually how cold it is, but it's lovely here. Tenerife is a great place.
That's wonderful. What a nice treat to be there, especially now because it's just beginning to get cold in the UK, as you said, right?
Absolutely.
So, Gennye, okay, let's dive in. We're going to do, I bring up what I do in the show. If you haven't heard the show before, is I also play little musical breaks. So we try to take a couple-minute musical break on the half hour. It just gives people a chance to wet their whistle, use the facilities, or do whatever they have to do. So So I'm so curious. Of course, the first thing I read here in your bio is like, what? She reincarnated into the same body? So that's the first thing I must talk to you about that. Tell me about that. Tell me how it happened, what happened. I'm all ears.
Okay, so at the time when it actually happened, I just knew I had a strong spiritual experience, but I didn't actually understand what happened.
Right.
So that was very confusing and quite scary at the time, because it was like a lucid dream. I left my body, and I had left my body before in sleeping, and in this state. But this time it was completely different to come back. And at the time I felt completely alienated to my environment. I felt like a bit of distance to my family, but not understanding why. I also felt distant to Sweden, which was very strange, as if I couldn't get the right transmission there. So all I had at the time was to trust spirit, really, to connect in meditation to my higher self and listen inwards what I'm supposed to be doing, because that was the only kind of lead I had. Everything else felt completely off. So I listened inward, and Spirit told me I had to go to London, and that's what I did. And it was, it sounded so crazy, but at the time I based my decision upon living there, whether it felt good or not to walk the streets of London. And it was like, because I could only follow this feeling. So I came, I obviously had to get a job, so, I could sort of, pay my bills and do those things. So I did. I worked in hospitality, and then, I mean, the rest is kind of history, but that's what happened at the time. Now, maybe you want to know what it is.
Well,
the reincarnation in the same body.
Well, because a couple questions come up for me. Okay, so I'm a past life regressionist, and I look at we see a lot of walk-ins. What you don't think you're a walk-in?
No. So the walk-in is slightly different. The walk-in is where there is a new soul coming in, but the reincarnation in the same body is when the soul leaves the body, and it comes in with like a higher contract, or a more sort of purified contract with more purpose, or kind of a deeper purpose in it. So the push becomes stronger from the soul to to go, in alignment with the mission of enlightenment, enlighten other people. Really, that's what it's. That's why the walk-ins come in as well, to take other people with them, through ascension. So that happened, but at the time, it as if you know already with walk-ins, is that the person feels extremely lost because they have to integrate a new soul. Although this wasn't a new soul for me, it was more kind of integrating a new purpose. It basically feels like you don't belong in your skin, and it is very, very distressing because you think So it takes normally about 2 years to integrate this, but this is maybe what should take me to the next sort of, to describe how I found out what this is. So was in 2009. Now, bearing in mind, I never had a clue what happened. I felt better 2 years later. 2000, I felt like integrated, and I did all my studies, and it felt really good then. But in 2009, I met one of my mentors, one of my teachers, Nicholas, and basically just coming across his website, I was just pulled in, and it was all about walk-ins, reincarnation in the same body, and I was like, this is it. That's what happened to me. From a soul level, I just knew. I was like, oh, thank goodness there's a description to what happened. And then since then...
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Sorry, no, and then since then, I learned all about it, and a lot of the healing and the awakening tools that I use are designed to actually integrate walk-ins and integrate RSBs, or reincarnation in the same body, so that they have a smoother transition into their mission. So obviously I don't work just with walk-ins and RSBs, but that's the tools I'm using are designed to make it a smoother path for them. So that's what happened.
And just out of curiosity, because can I ask how old you were and what was happening in your chart, since you're an astrologer? Were you in a Saturn return? What significant thing? Or wasn't there?
I'm not. Yes, let me try to think of this, because I have checked this a long time ago. I have a feeling it had something to do with Chiron as well. Okay. I'm not. I mean, look, I shouldn't say, because I can't remember, or I'm not 100% sure. But at the age, 98, I was 24.
Yeah, that's the reason that's quite young to go through something like that. I mean, even at 34, if you have a clue what it is, it's shocking. You might feel like you've lost your mind. You might feel like you're schizophrenic. You might feel like, did I drink a drug somewhere? Something happened to me that I don't understand. And the reason I'm asking you to talk about this is because there are probably listeners out there who have had this experience, and that's why we do this show. That's why I do the show, because although it's a long time ago for you, and you've kind of you've regulated it within your psyche, within your system, I cannot imagine how frightening that would be for kids today have a very hard time figuring out who they are. They're all supposed to look like a certain person. They're all supposed to listen to the same. It's very difficult to be a young person today, I think. Okay, that's my opinion. And, having a daughter and knowing people with children, and you have children. But so at 24, I had a big wake up at 23. So the reason I'm talking about this so much is because it's shocking for a young person. I mean, how old do you have to be to wake up? I don't know. You have to have some stability in your life. Otherwise, you go off the rails, or you can.
You can yeah.
So how did you said 2 years later you felt better, but how did you cope with the 2 years? I mean, you just say to yourself, go on.
Yeah, no, it was sheer strong-willed, knowing that there was the higher purpose, being able to connect in that way spiritually, feeling completely disconnected to spirit at the same time, but
Right.
remembering, at the same time, all the connections I've always had and all the meditations and amazing astral traveling I was doing, at the time. But knowing that is true to me, I knew that this had to come to an end. So my hope and my knowing within kind of kept me going, and I just focused on. I did study at the time, so I focused on the astrology studies at the Faculty of Astrology in London, and I just kind of get on with that while I was working. So I was trying to just get on, really. And then after 2 years, it felt better. I felt just better. But, at the time, I had no boyfriend or anything like that. I was just getting on.
Very brave.
I felt brave. And the weird thing was that I remember I was living in Crystal Palace at the time. I remember talking to my mom and my dad and, talking to friends. And they were like, well, if you feel, that lost, because I did express that I felt, ungrounded and sort of lost, just come back home. But that was like no choice. I just like, no, I can't go back to Sweden. And it wasn't it wasn't an ego kind of, oh, I'm not going to go back there now because then I'm, it was more like, no, I can't go back there. I have to stay here. So very strange. Felt totally disconnected, but at the same time fully trusting. So that's what got me through, I think, because it could be very disturbing for people who. But then I also believe that the soul gets given what they can handle, in theory anyway, in a sense, because if I'm here to raise the vibration of the earth, then spirit is only going to give me what I can handle, because otherwise I can't. I'll fail the mission, right? So I was also trusting that I'm here to do something to help. So therefore, spirit has my back, surely. So that was that belief, and I'd like to say that to people listening, that spirit has your back. Because if you're here to shine your light and take people through to their next level, then spirit will always have your back. So yeah.
People say to me, how come spirit didn't watch out for me when this happened? And how come, because I have had people say that to me. And of course, the only answer that is really, ding, ding, ding on the Richter scale is because you were meant to experience that, or the person who you're asking about was meant to experience that for their growth on some level, right?
Yes.
So just covering that basis in case anyone in listening land is going, well, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so Gennye, that is just fascinating, and you found a website that taught you or showed you that you were not alone. I mean, I haven't had anyone on the show that's been a walk-in or a reincarnation in the same body, so I know you've got loads of other things to talk about, but I must say that is fascinating. And I'm just before we move off that subject, is there a book or is there anything out there that you recommend for people who might be having these experiences and don't know how to figure them out? They could come to you too, couldn't they?
Yes. Okay. So one of the ascension tools, if you like, that I use and I've trained to do is light body activations.
Right.
And it's a channeled form of spiritual tool for awakening by Tachira Tachiren, and she walked in, I think, 3 times.
Wow.
So she brought the work in of the light body integration, or the light body work, and then she walked out again, and somebody else walked into her body. But so she's kind of that was her the purpose of that soul. But the people that has taught me, which is Nicholas, David Nahn, and Elmira Ariel Hilaire, they took the work, embraced the work, and is now teaching it very delicately to very chosen people who can handle the frequency, because the idea of the light body activations and the light body work is to help in the ascension process, because once the light body integration and light body activations are performed, especially in a person who is a walk-in or a RSB or anyone awakening, really, the path becomes so much easier. So the idea is to raise the vibration of the person so that they can get on with the light work and to take other people with them through the ascension. So that's why I do the light body. I perform the light body activations with people. Mm-hmm. So that's why I went to learn it, and really honoring the work, because it's very unique in that sense, and powerful, and it's very helping people to be integrated, really, and get on with their soul work.
Amazing. Well, I mean, it just goes like this. Boom. Next thing you know, it's time for a musical break. But it's so there's so much tonight, because there's so much that Gennye does. I made all the music only at 2 minutes each. So we've reached the it's 7:30 in the UK, and that means or 2:30 in America on the East Coast, and all over the world, wherever. We always have a break at this time. So Gennye, hang in there. We're going to be back with Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon, who is talking about reincarnating in the same body, and we're going to move on to many other subjects that Gennye is prolific at. Her website is www.rainbowcenterforsoulpotential.net, which I will put in the chat room. And you guys, if you've listened, I had a big story with the copyright taking music, and YouTube was not very happy with me playing like Led Zeppelin and The Doors, and God knows I love them, but I have now chosen only copyright-free music, so we have no more Michigas. No more craziness with them. And this is called A New Beginning by Ben Sounds, which is copyright free. It's sweet, it's nice, you'll enjoy it. 2 minutes, 42 seconds, and we'll be back. And that's it. It was sweet and simple. We are back with my lovely guest, Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon. Okay, Gennye, so you've incarnated in your same body. You've spent 2 years doing esoteric knowledge like astrology and what else did you learn? Massage? Your body has many things.
Yes. So I did some, started out with counselling as well, and I thought, I'm not sure if I want to do counselling, but I did a course in it, and then I thought, I think I want to go more, deeper with the spiritual work. So I learned massage, which can be very spiritual because, there's so much going on in the body that is locked in there, which maybe needs to be released, right? So massage was really great. I did that, and I still do massage, actually. I still massage people. And then I started different types of healing. Like I did a Kuan Yin alignment with, Ascended Master Kuan Yin. I've done some angelic and vortex sort of healing, and it was all good, and I did an introduction to Reiki and those things, but it was like I didn't cut it for me, so I carried on searching, and then I found divine healing, soul contract readings, and the light body integrations, which is taught by Nicholas and Elmira. So they've taught me these tools together with lots of other people, learning it as well, not just me. And those tools felt the most kind of in alignment with my mission. That's the tools I'm using, and obviously my channel. I channel a lot when I work with people. So yeah, and that's where I'm at with it.
So that even just saying that, I channel a lot. So before you sort of reincarnated in your body, did you always have the ability to tune into spirit? I mean, you said you were astral projecting. So clearly you were already, doing stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a child, I felt very sensitive, and I'm sure you've heard this before. People that they pick up other people's energies, and they can really sense what is going on, and you have this kind of telepathic. I had telepathic ways of communicating with people, but it was probably after the reincarnation in the same body that I became really sensitive. Like I could sense spirits, and I could just completely tune in to things, and felt really psychic, and getting images of the future, and kind of very psychic, felt very psychic, and that's just carried on, and it's how you choose to use it. So I don't do mediumship, as in that's not what I'm doing. I'm kind of I'm working more on empowerment and helping people align with their own spiritual talents and gifts so that they can find their own path as such. So I think it's whatever anyone listening thinking they've got to do something with their gifts, I would just listen in and just listen in to what feels right to them, because yes, maybe I could have been a medium, or maybe I could have done something else with it, but this is what I've chosen to do. So I feel that people not being sure if they're listening, just meditate, listen inwards. What is Spirit telling you? What to do with it? Because you're meant to use it.
Yeah. This is very apt what you're saying. It's very, not only is it right, but, I've taught a lot of light workers too, and I have to say, you've got to do the work, man. It doesn't just come to you. It doesn't just sit on your forehead and say, here I am, Horatio. You have to do the work. And without the work, you can't. It's like a muscle. You can't move forward, really. You're going to get stuck. I have had students who got to a certain point, got bored with doing the things that they were doing because they didn't have the wowie zowie right away moment and left. And that's ridiculous and heartbreaking. And don't be so lazy and don't expect spirit to just descend on you because you want it. It has to be that you show integrity, you show willingness. And the way you show willingness is by doing the work.
Yes, you've got to show up. Like as a person,
Exactly.
as a human, you've got to show up as a human. And because spirit will work with you in any way you direct. Because, but definitely you've got to show up. You've got to do your work. You've got to do your inner work. I was doing a Facebook Live actually today, just in the group, and I was talking about how important it is, because we as leaders are only, a few steps ahead. Like, it's not like we are superhuman or anything. We're just a few, we've learned a lot along the path. But the ones that are just coming, walking just, behind us, we need to carry on doing the work. And those people will have some people walking behind them. So it's kind of like you've got to keep up with your own development. Because otherwise, how are you going to take someone else through? It's going to be that you can only take them as far as you come. So that's like a main message really to all my fellow spiritual coaches, healers, light workers, those people who want to do good. You've got to show up.
I have to tell you a story. It's just and it's not a good story, but it's a good story for us who are. If you want to be in the process of light working and ascension and all the things that Gennye's talking about, metaphysics, spirituality, awakening, whatever you want to say. I met an astrologer online through a female astrologer online through somebody else who I was a guest on their show, right? And I love astrology. I'm an astrologer. I teach astrology. And I had an astrology summit on Cafe Esoterica Radio. The last 3 months, we've had tons of great astrologers on. So if you go through it, if you've only just tuned in, you never heard of us before, and you love astrology, well, Gennye's an astrologer too. But we've had some amazing Michael Luton, big names in astrology, and so this person said to me, would you like to do an exchange? And again, just a meeting online on Facebook, whatever, and I said, sure. I'm always open for a good exchange, right? And when it was time for me to show up for the meeting, which was on, she didn't have Skype, she didn't have Zoom, she completely didn't even do the chart. She couldn't understand why I was upset, and I was upset because she completely didn't prepare for it. She had 2 weeks to prepare for it. She was absolutely scatterbrained, like she even looked like she just woke up. And I said to her, look, I've been an astrology teacher for 34 years. I don't understand why we made this arrangement, and you didn't even prepare the chart. Oh, I never prepared the chart ahead of time for just an exchange. Really? So this is why what you're saying is so important, and I just want to emphasize it. Of course, I was pissed off because I thought, hey, this is my time, and now I'm not going to do you. I'm not going to bother. So she started to say to her, how can you call yourself a professional, really? Because that's not a professional. If you don't show up with your tools intact, ready to go, dressed appropriately, and looking like you're interested, then who the heck is interested in you? And, and they have every right to be. And you know what she said to me in her defense? Well, this is the new astrology.
Well, it's just, it's kind of like laughable, really, because...
Well, I'm just vibing to the energy of the time. I'm just vibing to the energy of whatever's going on around me. It's just complete nonsense. So It has nothing to do with you, Gennye, but you're talking about ascension and being awake in the moment, willingness, ready, do the work.
Yes.
And I just have to throw in my 2 cents on the show and say, well, this is what just happened to me, and I'm 62 years old, and I've been in this business a long time, and that has never happened to me before. So it's shocking,
No.
you know? So there's a lot of people out there pretending to be wannabes, but they're not doing the work. Basically.
No, they're not doing the work, and there's also what I've discovered as well, working with people who are very talented, in their channel. They're very talented in their healing work. The other issue is that if they don't address their own limiting beliefs and their own trauma and their own experiences that are holding them back, it's going to be difficult for them to run a spiritual business, because when they get people coming to them with those issues, they can't hold a space for those unless they've addressed it themselves. So I always say your business, your spiritual business, is only going to be as well as you are. Okay, so it's almost like you cannot take your spiritual business any further than your own wellness, how well you are on every level. And I think that's the key. So as soon as you work on your own limiting beliefs, trauma, etc., all these things, imprints, then, every time I've had a massive clearing myself this week. I've done so much work. I mean, I'm lucky I can do it some of myself, but I also ask other people. But and I have to keep doing this. It comes up. It's like peeling an onion, and I've got to do this because I can't take other people with me if I'm not addressing my own limitations as a human. So that's like a big message, I think. And then you will be able to have a really, really great, thriving business.
We're going to get
another thing. Yeah, you carry on.
Well, I mean, this is really, the show is, I mean, you're so talented. You've got so many things going on, and I want to address them all. But my next question, how can a person who is trying to set up a New Age holistic business get it to support them and be financially viable? It is difficult for many, which of course, in my generation, it was nearly impossible, it must be said. We were like the forerunners, sticking our nose out there. How do you make a living doing this work? And then I worked at Mysteries in Covent Garden off and on for 15 years. I mean, I read so many people, my head blew off my neck, type thing. It was a lot of work and a lot of hard graft and teaching in holistic centers, all before the internet ever graced the brain cells of my head. You know what I mean? There was no internet, there was no mobile phones. Everything was done hard work, walking, talking, moving your body, going in front of a group of people and showing up and being there on time and all the other stuff. And so I'm saying that that old school is a really good proving ground. When I started at Mysteries in 1985, I just graduated metaphysics school in 83. I was 2 years trying to figure out where do I go, where do I belong. And just like you, I got a call literally to come to London. And I was in my Saturn return, which is in Sagittarius, and Jupiter's just about to kiss that Saturn right now. And it was like a red carpet. Why? Because I did all the work. And this is the thing I want to stress to people. When you do the work, the universe shows up. So it's okay, you did the work. Here, you're graduating. Let's give you a great job, or which I was lucky enough to get in 1985. Mysteries virtually begged me to work for them, and Americans don't have the right to work here. I don't know about Swedish people back then because we didn't have the EU. So, slowly but surely, I got my right to remain, and of course. It all fell into place. It was just a beautiful experience of falling into place. And I met loads of wonderful people there, which I was certainly meant to meet. And some of them are still my friends today. That's 34 years later. So ultimately, this is what the universe says. You want to help, you want to be there, you've signed up for this, whatever way you do it. Here's your lesson. So I'm touching on the point of people coming to you, and it can trigger things in yourself, and you open that door to whatever. For me, I had various things triggered by many different clients, but instead of letting them lie there in the dust, the psychic, the medium, the spiritual person, the person who's working with ascension and energy like you are, like I am, will say, okay, that's the message from the universe. I have to go now and look at this.
Yeah.
And the minute I did, and this is just me backing you up, bigging you up here, Gennye, the minute I did, the door opened for everyone who had this issue came through.
Yes.
Like the call goes out, right? So the call goes out somewhere. Oh, my God, abandonment issues or abuse issues in childhood or financial difficulties or whatever it is, you know, that sits at my table and I'm looking at it, helping the person. If it's triggered in me, then I go into the therapy, I go into the inner work, I do whatever I can to heal it, and then I get 20 people coming, you know, for months on end with the
that
same stuff.
Yes. Exactly.
And a lot of people have said this to me as I've, you know, connected with them, that this, and you brought it up exactly right. You know, this is how the universe works. So in this beautiful way, it opens the door for the healer. It allows the healer to get healed, the chironic wound, right? And
yes, absolutely.
then it allows all your clients to get healed. So
absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's what I was saying, how we're just a couple of steps ahead.
Yeah.
You know, of the people that we are meant to help. And so the minute somebody stops addressing their own issues or whatever is coming up, that's it. You get stuck. And you it's like you, and to run a spiritual business, this is, spiritual entrepreneurship, I suppose it's like any other entrepreneurship. You have a passion to do what you love doing. Right. But unfortunately, the past is saying as well, we have a lot of past life. I mean, you would know this with past life, that healers and spiritual workers wouldn't get paid because it's a part of their, gift to the world that, you give it for free. And that's still, and it's still happening. And that is, that energy or that imbalance has to shift, because I thought about this today, actually. I thought the more spiritual, talented light workers helping in ascension, healing other people, the more of those getting paid very well, the more work they can do, because we all have to pay our bills and live, right? So if they don't get paid, they be standing there not doing the work because they can't afford to not get paid, and then there's a queue of people not getting healed. So the idea to do it for free is like ridiculous because unless we live somewhere where, an island and you have all the food for free and fish and but that's not the reality. Yeah. You have to pay your rent, you have to pay your, whatever else, you have to have a good living. You should be going on holiday as well, So that is, so in healers and light workers and people feeling that, they may have this kind of, I don't know if it's past life, but it is imprint. Go and heal that. Go and heal the imprint that you should be doing it for free, because you shouldn't, do it for free. Okay, in the beginning, maybe you do a little bit for free because you want to get practice or something, because you want to get, going. But that's just like any case studies, right? If you learn massage, you have to do some case studies for free so you can get practicing. So all these people are not getting healed because all these people that want to do the healing and are extremely talented are not getting paid properly, and then they can't do it, and they have to go and work somewhere else, maybe in Starbucks, or or work in admin, or do some other job where they need to get a salary, and then all these people are not getting healed. So my mission is to really encourage and really try help these as much as I can to say, look, you're worth so much. And even if you do it in a transition, so that you don't, you may be working somewhere now, and then over time you can shift this and become doing it full time. That's fine, because the transition is okay, right? To go from one sort of job to another. But yeah, so absolutely. And then the more and more people can get help. So. Well,
this is just another point where it's really ironic. I worked as a waitress and a bartender for 10 years, from the time I was 18 to the time I was 28, and actually 29 was when I came here. So I have to say 11 years really. I was working my way through university, 3 degrees, and training in metaphysics, and training in nursing, and training in psychology. And so, so when I showed up here, I had all that behind me, and I used to say the same thing. When am I going to be able to do what I love and get paid for it? And and so it was very difficult in the beginning. Not because I didn't have a great job. I had a job at Mysteries, and I was loved. It was great. I got a lot of press there too. But I was making. They took a third off the top, so I got the remnants. Whatever they skimmed from the top of your pay, and that's how a lot of these places work even today, and I've worked in quite a few of them. And then if you work in a healing center like I worked at Primrose Healing Center in Primrose Hill and many others, Balham, these places you rent the room, and so you're paying the room rental and hoping they'll get you clients, even though, or patients, whatever, clients. And so these were the ways in the beginning, in the 80s, that I was doing it. Now I do everything at home. I do everything online. My rent, is in my home, and my office is on my desk, and it makes it a lot cheaper in a way. But my point is this: that you have to build up a clientele. They don't just come swarming through. And to learn how to build up a clientele as a professional, you have to charge appropriately. So this was what I was going to tell you. So when I was 29 and I started working here in the metaphysics, in the psychic work, I was charging like 20 quid a reading, maybe. And Mysteries was charging, I think, 20 for a half hour, 40 for an hour. So I would charge something like that. Now, today I charge £100 for a reading. And I think 34 years later, that's actually a good value, okay? Because, all my experience and whatever. But I met another astrologer online, and he is 31, and he's been doing astrology professionally for 2 years, and he charges what I charge. My astrology charts are a lot more, And I was shocked. And I said to him, how can you charge so much? You've only been doing it 2 years. And he's like, I'm going to get, and all that bravado. So for me, it was insulting. I thought, how dare you charge that much? You're not 2 years in. What do you know? So maybe that's me. I don't know. You have to be on the other side of it to see the value of it. But I think there should. Do you think this work should be regulated? Do you think it should have a certain amount of because there's a big no.
No, because again, this is about empowerment. You decide what you charge in your business. You decide, and as long as that is in alignment with your heart and with your soul and the worth that you are giving those people and the transformation that you give them, it's up to you what you charge. So it's coming back to maybe how you feel about that. Obviously, I mean, I would say, well, he have come off, and he wants to charge this money. It's kind of like a going rate, maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough about reading
Not a going
what
rate
people charge.
for 2 years. It's not a going rate.
No.
It
No.
was bravado. It was a lot of money for someone not that experienced. Yeah,
and maybe he is not aligned with it, so maybe he's not getting many readings. I don't know, but for somebody like yourself, I'm almost like feeling, I don't know, 250, but that's just my
but
feeling.
that's 100 is for a tarot reading, and and that's 1 hour, and the astrology chart is like, it's in English money. It's what is it? God, I can't even remember anymore. It's 160, I think. No, that's not right. It's probably 200. I'm thinking the American. Is it 160? 160 is the American dollar for the tarot. And and I think it's 220 for an astrology reading. But I think that's pounds. So it's not cheap. I'm not giving myself away. I do free work like this, and I sometimes do a Facebook Live for free just to get people, into it. But I still think you should. I definitely charge appropriately for the work and the experience that you have. And I would tell that to my students. Yeah.
Yes. I've spent years and years and thousands of pounds to study what I've studied.
Me too. Absolutely.
I've spent so much time. And being self-employed, all the time I'm studying, I'm not working. So then I've got to, you do make that up when you're working.
Right.
So, really, the cost of learning new things is always, I loved it. I love learning new things. So I've never, I've always invested in that. But yes, it should absolutely reflect what the transformation that you give to people. So yeah, absolutely.
And I've also, and I'm just throwing this in the spanner. I have, I have my degrees. I have my letters after my name. And I absolutely earned them. I have the feet to prove it because the waitressing for so long, just killed my feet. But anyway, we won't go there. All worth it. The knowledge was definitely worth it. But I've known people to make up things after their name. I've seen that in our field. Oh well, I'll just put master's degree in metaphysics. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So it's very important. This is why part of me is interested in perhaps regulating it. Because I think if a person is going to study anything to do with helping another human being, they should really think about getting the right diplomas, the right education, because they can do a lot of harm too, And I do
absolutely.
I do say this to my students. If you want to take tarot, that's fine. I'm teaching a tarot course as we speak. And and it's all good. But I do say to them, tarot is like counseling. And you really, it's not just about what I see in your future. It's all about healing that person. So it's really good to do counseling if you're going to do these types of things.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And we both did, right? And
I do agree with you with the regulations. Yes. Because
I would like
there will be
that.
people. Yeah, because there will be people out there that maybe are not so cautious and want to learn and get eager and maybe are also a little bit naive. They may not realize what can actually come up in a client, and then not really knowing, what to do. I mean, again, this is what I've experienced is that the person coming to the healer or to the coach or the therapist or whoever is transforming, the person coming there, only so much that facilitator can deal with, only so much will come up for the client. Right. But I have seen that it can sort of like break. Too much is coming up, and the healer or the therapist can't deal with what's coming up. But again, I'm so trusting in spirit that, I always trust that whoever comes to me, I can deal with it, because otherwise they wouldn't come.
Right.
But for the sake of the safety of the population, yes, I think there should be some sort of regulation, because it's like counselling, or it's like therapy, isn't it? It's just a different label. So yeah.
And when you know counseling, you understand. I put something on my Facebook page that counseling is a privilege. And it is a privilege. If you're healing another person, if you're helping another person through whatever they're going through, and sometimes it's very traumatic and very deep and lots of, really horrible wounding going on out there, and people will come to people like you, and they'll come to people like me, and they'll look for someone who has not only the integrity to do the work and the education, but the heart to do the work.
Absolutely.
See, and I love that you put lion rainbow in your name.
Yeah.
It just brings the love and the heart, It's like, I'm brave, but I'm also full of rainbow and color and, joy.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to think so.
Well, let's go there for a minute while we're on that subject, and then we'll have another break.
Yeah.
But why did you choose? Unless you were born that way, did your parents name you Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon?
No, I changed. I optimized my name. So as a part of my spiritual journey and alignment and optimizing my path so that I can help more people, I optimized my name. And it's a part of the soul contract. It's a numerology based upon the sound of your name. Right. So because sound is creative, so like it creates, it's a vibration. And this vibration of your name is encoded into your fields. So when you change your name, you may move country and get another pronunciation, or you may get married, or you may just simply change your name. Then actually your experience in life and the reality, how you perceive it, also change. So when I changed, so this was deliberate. There was a few things I was looking for to kind of break through much easier and being able to find more empowerment and spiritual sort of focus, if you like. And so I optimized my name. And that's a process that I did. And how it came about was I was Gennye Anderzon, or like Gennye Anderzon in Swedish. That was my name, always, since I was born. Well, it was actually Gennye Kristina Louise Anderzon, which is like the Swedish name of Christina Louise. And I came to the UK. I discovered the whole reincarnation in the same body thing, and this was a part of my alignment. And I knew I wanted to keep Gennye because I wanted to be Gennye, and I wanted to keep Anderzon as well because that's kind of like my origin. So I thought, well, I don't really want to lose my origin because I am Swedish. And then my husband is Rainbow. So Rainbow is my married name, if you like, because his name is Rainbow. And
oh my
then
God!
The lion.
His real name is Rainbow. His surname Rainbow. Mr. Rainbow. His surname.
Yeah, he's Mr. Rainbow, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was absolutely wonderful. I thought, I'm so lucky to marry a man who's a rainbow,
I know. That's just amazing. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And then through the process, I said to Nicholas, right, okay. For some reason, I said, for the last 8 years, you remember those Nokia phones where you had predictive text? Yes. And you'd put in, you'd put in some word, and another word would come up, and then you put the next letter, and then it would come up with the right word. So every time I put in Gennye, as in Jennie, so I put in Jenn, and every time it came up Leon. And then as soon as I put the I in, it went into Gennye, and then Gennye, like this. So for like the 7 years or whatever it was, when I had this type of Nokia phone, it was Leon coming up all the time. So I was getting used to almost like this is lion in French. So I said to Nicholas, maybe we should just kind of try. Oh, yes, and I had a spirit guide at the time called Leon. He came through. So I was like, this is too much. Like, it's just been Leon, Leon, Leon. And then we tried the lion, put the lion in, because we said, okay, we'll just try for English pronunciation, because obviously we don't live in France. And we put it in, and it came out wonderfully. Exactly what the energies I was looking for in the numerology. So we went with it, and he said, you sure you want this? You want to be this lion? I said, yes, it's great. I love it. And then that was it, and we just tweaked the Anderzon with a Z and the spelling of Gennye. And then it was just all perfectly well, came out absolutely wonderful. Wow. So that was it.
I know a lot of people change their names, and when my daughter was born, I definitely did her name numerologically. I tuned into her soul, and I thought, yes, okay, I'm going to give her a 22. She's got a 22. Isabella is a 22, and I spelled my mother's name is Isabel, so I gave her a middle name. Her name is Autumn, and that's lovely for her too. She was born right after the autumn equinox. And but she's a Libra, right? But her middle name was either going to be Autumn Scarlet, and that was too much maybe. But Autumn Rose, very girly because she's Libra, and then I thought, well, I'll give her my mother's name. My mother's name is Isabel. I didn't want to give her my mother's karma, if you know what I mean. So I thought, well, I'll give her a different version of that name. So my mother's name is Isabel, and I gave her Isabella, like the Italian, but with one L. And one L gives it a master number. So so killed two birds with one stone, basically. So my mother was thrilled that she was named at her name, and my daughter, thrilled she's got a master number in there. And I think it attracts the energy of that, of course,
Absolutely.
So, okay, Gennye, I love having you on. You're fabulous. I hate to take a break, but we must. Give people a chance to wet their whistle. I want to say big hello to Gemini Moon, who's in the chat box on YouTube. Hi, Gemini Moon. She always shows up in our shows. And are you enjoying the show? Great. Say something there. Okay, folks, so we're going to have a little break. It's very short, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is Creative Minds by Ben Sound. And if you want to talk to our guest, it's in the second hour. You sure can. The area code is 516. If you're outside of the United States, dial 001. That's the code to the USA. And area code is 516, Long Island, New York, 387-1809. We'll be back with Gennye, Lion, Rainbow, Anderson. We're going to talk about her Wealth Academy, her Holistic Wealth Academy next. And here we go with another non-copyright song, Creative Minds. Well, we're in the creative mind right now. cheerful. That was quick. Okay, we're back with the lovely Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon. Just explained all that information about lions and rainbows, and oh my, wonderful. Okay, Gennye, so listen, I have so many other questions. Let's move into some of those. And callers, if you want to, this is a good time to call. As I said, I'll mention the number again, area code 516-387-1809, and speak to the lovely Gennye. Very wise she is, too. Okay, how does a person find their life purpose, and does everyone have one? Gennye.
Okay, so I use the soul contract numerology, which is based on the sound of your name, which is very uncanny. I mean, it's when somebody has their reading, it's kind of like a relief often, because they many times they hear something they've always known deep within, but no one else has ever told them. So
Right.
It's kind of a bit of it's an amazing tool for purpose. I'm not trying to claim that everyone in the world needs a soul contract reading to understand their purpose, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there feeling purposeful and that they are in alignment with their gifts and talents and their soul, what they're here to share and help other people with. But it is a wonderful tool, especially for spiritual seekers. It's kind of like, most of the time what I find is that people come and they know they're intuitive, they know they have these gifts, but they kind of maybe don't even think they should be using them on a permanent basis. And that's like the unraveling the whole thing about it, because I will just say, look, no, you are. You are a true spiritual, a vessel for, a channel that you can use this in your life, and that is so empowering, because we a lot of people have been maybe feeling that they shouldn't, or they're not good enough, or they maybe they have this gift but they shouldn't, they're not really using it, so it's really it's a catalytic tool. But then, I do a lot of channeling with people too, so it's not the only tool in the world. There's many, many beautiful soul alignment tools that can be used, but that's the one I use. So
that's interesting when you say the sound of your name.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just curious because I know numerology, but not through sound. I know it through the numbers aligned with the letters.
Sure.
How do you do it with sound? I'm just curious.
Okay, so the actual process is called a soul contract reading, but it came from a channeled, it's a channeled work called the Numerology of Moses, which is based upon the sound of your name, but it's actually based on Hebrew letters and Hebrew numbers. So anyone listening in, knowing that Hebrew is one of the sacred languages of God, what we use is we actually have a very clever software now that, I don't want to make this too complicated, but let's say my Swedish name was Gennye Kristina Louise Anderzon. That sound vibration is put into the software that we're using these days, and the vibration is translated back into Hebrew letters and numbers, and the software has an interpretation. Well, we know the interpretations as soul contract readers of the different numbers. So it's 22 numbers and 22 letters, because that's the Hebrew alphabet.
Yeah.
But we don't need to know Hebrew to become a soul contract reader or to have a reading or anything. It's just how the tool came about. So that's how it works. So we're lucky enough to have had Nicholas and other people developing the software so that we can use it for interpretation of a name. So if somebody comes with a Spanish name, I still have to put in the English phonetic, of the Spanish name into the software. So I can't put in, Pablo Garcia as it is. I have to sort of translate it into an English phonetic before. So that's how it works. So it's literally the sound of the name and breaking it into numbers.
Fascinating.
So it's very clever. Yeah.
I do know Kabbalah, and I teach it in my Meta 2 classes, and I understand that each letter, Hebrew letter, has a sound, it has a number associated, it has a whole story behind it, and I do understand the magic behind it. But I had no idea that there was a software. That is amazing. Gennye, I might send my daughter to you. I think she would love to have something like that. That is incredible. That is really powerful.
So the book, so Nicholas wrote the book, I think it's 4 or 5 years ago now, but it's, no, probably less, about 4 years ago. It's a bestseller on Amazon. It's called Your Soul Contract Decoded, and it's it's a bestseller on Amazon for numerology and esoteric studies, if you like. Yeah, so anyone who would like to find it, it will be there on Amazon. You can download it on Kindle. You can learn more about the system by buying the book. And there's also software on www.soulcontractvida.com. That's also, people can go to the website.
Soulcontractreader.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is amazing.
It's a very fascinating work. Yeah, very fascinating.
I'll put that in the chat room. That is amazing. We actually have a caller. Oh, hallelujah. Cool. Area code 770. Hang in there. We're going to get to you in just a second. I wanted to ask Gennye my next question. Because we're talking, look, we're old hats at this. We know what it means, but maybe our listeners don't. So here's the $3 million question. What is ascension, and how does someone ascend? And why should they ascend?
Okay.
So if you could explain that while I put these other things in the chat room, go right ahead, please.
Okay. So ascension is something that happens to, a planet. I mean, planet Earth has gone through ascension before, every 25,000 years, and the actual what happens is the vibration of the whole planet, not just the people and the Earth itself, but all the inhabitants are raising in frequency. So what it means is that everyone knows about the ego, I'm sure. So the ego is in place so that we can kept separate from spirit and that we can have an earthly experience. Because if we were pure consciousness, we would be kind of like, in the fifth dimension and, floating around with the angels and the ascended masters. But we have to have an ego in place so we can incarnate and come into a body form. And the idea is to transmute as much of the ego programming as possible. We cannot not have an ego. We have to have one to be in human form. But to, be able to embody as much of higher consciousness as possible into our lives so that we can live more peaceful, happy, abundant, and pain-free life, without suffering, and living heaven on earth. That is ascension. So the reason everyone has to clear out all their junk is that, now I'm talking in their lives, not just in the garage, in their life, as in, dysfunctional relationships and, dysfunctional patterns around, worthiness and money and dysfunctional, maybe, even toxicity in the body. They have to clear out, becoming more healthy so that they don't become ill, so that the whole of their body and mind and soul can raise in frequency and embody more light. So that's the whole, that's ascension. And when we refuse to embody more light on a conscious and subconscious level, we get sick because the light is coming in to ourselves, and if we reject spirit and don't want to address our issues and things that are blocking us, then we may get sick because the light is coming into the cells, and the what is not light in the cells have nowhere to go. So it becomes a very uncomfortable experience. So spirit is basically saying, hey, you're spiritual, you need to connect to this. And you need to put more spiritual practice into your life and become more conscious, and so that you can raise in vibration and have a better life.
Okay, now caller, if you can hang in just 2 more minutes, area code 770882. Just hang in there. I want to ask Gennye one more question, and then we'll take your call. So what are ascension symptoms then? What are they?
So ascension symptoms can be the normal human symptoms of not feeling great, because it's like a detox. So it can be anything from having just headaches and having some physical issues with your body that you need to address. But you can also an illness and feeling anxious about things, and you have to heal those. So it'll be the normal kind of past life stuff that you just need to heal, basically. But then also you can have symptoms that are kind of weird. So you could have things like a lot of ringing in your ears and, influxes of light so that you can see, like in your mind's eye, a lot of different colors, or you may feel really dizzy at times where you can't really sort of explain why. You may have feelings of that you in different parallel realities, like really strange, like sliding doors, the film with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Right.
It could be like you're sitting on the road and driving the car, and you're thinking, hang on, I've just driven around this, bit of, these houses, and you may have just sort of slipped in between realities and things. So there can be lots of strange things, as well as uncomfortable symptoms that you don't feel well. So anything weird. Obviously, I would always say to my clients and people I work with that if, obviously you have to check anything with your doctor or your physician, if you're not sure, because, it needs to be addressed. It could be something that you need help with that is not ascension symptoms, So I always tell my people to go if they have worries, go to the doctor as well. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you ready to take a call, Gennye?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. We're going to open the mic here for area code 770. You're on the air with Gennye and Shawn. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Shanika, and I'm calling from Georgia.
Hi, Shanika. You've called my show before.
Yes, I
No?
did.
I remember. I remember your name.
Yeah, you sound
Okay, well, what's your question? You're very welcome. Call every week if you want. What's your question for my guest, Gennye?
I've been told that I live in the sixth dimension, but I'm trying to do some reading about it, but I'm not really fully understanding what is the sixth dimension. Like, I watch videos and stuff, but I never could get a detailed explanation.
Okay. So, I mean, you're probably aware of that, obviously, here on Earth. This is a 3D dimensional experience. So everything, you can touch things, your tables, your chairs, your children, whatever. You can touch your food and eat it. So the dimensions goes, like fourth dimension is less, things can be there that are not physical, but they can feel really real. It's almost like when spirit pass or people pass away, I have this feeling that they kind of they hang around. They're kind of in between third and fourth. They're no longer in their body, obviously, because they've died. But it really can feel like they're in the room because they've only just passed over. I think maybe Shawn can agree with this. And then you've got the fifth dimension where, you've got the archangels hanging out, and you've got the ascended masters and a lot of the healing team and guides that protects us and our guardian angels and everything else. They're there. And the sixth dimension is, even less sort of, well, even less physical, if you like. So it's not really, okay, your soul might be going to the sixth dimensions if you do astral traveling and things like that, but you are in your physical body right now. So the fact that I don't think you live in the sixth dimension. I think maybe you visit the sixth dimension, perhaps. And I don't think there is a limit to what the human consciousness and the human soul can do. We can go to many places, especially in sleeping. But so I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, it did.
So do you feel like you're kind of hanging out in higher dimensions in the sense that you feel this is a very, delicate space?
Yes.
Sixth dimension. Do you feel that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So, I would advise you to really stay very grounded in your body, do a lot of grounding exercises like yoga, and stay very in touch with your root chakra, because it's wonderful. The fifth dimension is wonderful, and the sixth dimension is as wonderful, because that's where everything, there's no time and space, really. But actually, we are on Earth, and we need to stay in our bodies to be able to help in ascension, but also to have good grounded lives here. So,
well, thank you.
Hopefully that helped.
Yes,
yeah, you're very welcome.
Shamika, God bless. Take care. Call in any time, and I hope that's helpful. Stay grounded.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. We have another caller. Here we go. Shall we take another call?
Yeah.
Area code, we have 25 minutes left of the show, so this is great that the people are calling in now. 519 area code. You're on the air, live and in color, with Gennye Lion Rainbow Anderzon. Tell me your name and what's your question.
Hello, my name is Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. And what's your question?
I have a question. All right,
yes.
It's about mediumship.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you know that you're actually talking to that person's deceased one and not just picking up information from their aura?
Gennye, you want to answer that?
Oh, okay. Right, so, okay. What I think is important, I can speak from my own personal experience. I know, who I'm talking to, because I just check in and I ask my team, is this the person, or is this, who is this? But anyone else who has these abilities, I would always encourage those people, if they're mediums or if they're psychics or if they're healers, to exercise their their channel. So whether that is that they're clairaudient and they can hear the words, literally, or if they're clairsentient or clairvoyant, whatever type of channel they're most comfortable with, I'll say, you have to exercise this muscle so that you know that you're clear on what you're hearing and who this is, who you're talking to. And again, the person who is the channel, I would say to them that the more work you do on yourself, the more grounded you are, the more protection you use. We all have to use protection, but and the more you clear yourself from interference and other things, your channel will be very clear. So it won't be confusing. It may be confusing if the person first starting out, not being so experienced, and have to kind of learn what to listen to and what is nonsense and what isn't. But that's kind of part of that person's growth, who is the channel. But I know these days I know where the information comes from, and I'm not concerned really that. And also, it doesn't really matter as long as it's for the highest and best good of the person that I'm working with, because it's kind of irrelevant. But I always ask. I always say, "Oh, who is this, and who's come through?" And then they tell me who it is. But again, I'm not the specialist of mediumship, but I do get sometimes ancestors coming through the healing sessions and talking to my clients. But it's kind of random, and I just welcome it in, when it comes. So I don't know if that answered your question.
I would like to back Gennye up on that, because I am a professional medium, and I have been one most of my life. I was born with this gift. And here's how you know when the information proves to be right. That's number one. Number two, you feel that person standing next to you when you're talking to them. So if let's say you have a client, and the client sits down, and all of a sudden what I get is I get a feeling, I get an energy, I get my guides alerting me, or I might get, as Gennye said, your team, or I might even hear the person whisper in my ear, or talk to me, or touch my hand. Or I might get an animal. I might get a pet, a dog, a cat, whatever. But all these things don't come random, silly-nilly. They come with energy, like a soul is energy. So you would feel your energy, you as a person, as a soul, would feel the energy of that person. So that's a big difference as opposed to la-la land in your head. And the person communicating will be talking to you in your mind, but they won't talk to you necessarily with their own voice. That you might hear your voice in your head.
That's right.
And that's how mediumship works. So sometimes I've had people from all over the world speak to me. And sometimes I do get an accent, because I need to know that person is from maybe Spain or Portugal or Israel or Timbuktu, you know what I mean? But that would be a significant factor to let me know this person is not English or British or American, and then it might calm down and go into my own voice in my head. But if you're dealing with another person and you ask that person, is your father on the other side? Yes. Is your father, was he, and you hear this word, he was the captain of his football team growing up or something, something significant. It may not be earth-shattering, but it's significant to that person. Then you do know you have that person with you. If you're reading an aura, everybody's got people who they love. Their energies are in, an aura is very significant. It is it's kind of like a gauge, if you will, of that person's energy. But if you really want true mediumship, you're going to hear it separate from an aura. Does that help?
It helps that part about them being able to feel them separately. That makes sense.
Well, because if they're coming to you, they're not flying in the air. People think that spirits are like little balls of light. They can be little. I had a orb go by today as we were doing the show on YouTube. But spirits, they do have a physical body in the spirit world. They do look a lot like what they look like in their previous life. They might be younger looking and certainly healthy. And if you tune into them, you're going to tune into all that. You're going to feel that. You might see it in your mind's eye, and you might smell them. They come with perfume, cigar smoke, cigarettes, whatever it is, it's significant to them. And that's the stuff that you pass on to the client.
Yeah.
Are you training as a medium, or are you just trying it out?
Oh, no, I'm going to a course in the UK tomorrow.
Okay, so you're beginning a course tomorrow. Well, these are all the things that you're going to learn, I hope, if it's a good course. And if they don't teach you that, you're in the wrong course.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies.
Okay.
And then also, I could say,
yes, go on.
Is there enough time, Shawn?
Yes, yes.
I would advise as well that get to know your expansion and contraction in your body. So it means that a yes and, a positive and a buoyant kind of feeling means it's like a yes, it's something good coming. And if it's a contraction, let's say you're learning about questions and things, and if it's a contraction in the body, more sort of like where sort of you pulled out, the energy feels like it's sort of pulled in a bit, is usually a no. And this is, I just call it, it's like muscle testing, but you will learn this as well, the body, how your body will be able to sense, through its own contraction and expansion as well. So you'll learn about that as well, so that you can use your own body as a tool for knowing. So that would be excellent for you.
A really good way. Yeah, I agree with that too. And some people use the pendulum. Some people use, like you said, muscle testing. There's many. There's all kinds of ways to do it. And for some people, it's only this way. I know plenty of mediums in my work. Some of them, they don't hear anything, but they get a feeling. So they're clairsentient.
Yeah.
I know mediums that don't. They only hear they physically hear a voice in their ear. Okay. And I know some. It's a combination of everything. They might get the pain or the injury or this. God forbid the person died of a heart attack. They feel that pain in the chest, and oh my God, it's very physical. Symptoms to say who this person is. Yeah. So, everybody's different. Everybody has gifts. And I want to talk to Gennye about this, about gifts. And this is my next question, so you can listen while your mic's open. People come in with spiritual gifts, which I think are acquired from other lives. Then they seem to have a heck of a time trying to find out what they are and how to use them. And also that society doesn't put them down or tell them they're crazy. And, how can we teach our children or our adults, young adults, to love their gifts, to nourish their gifts, and that the world desperately needs their gifts? Gennye.
Can I say something really beautiful here? Because my daughter, she's incredibly gifted, and I ask her to connect to angels and, to spirit and using her intuition. So I have then taught her to use her body with the expansion and the contraction, because that's kind of real, right? Anyone can, if you feel something in your body, it's like, okay, that's real. But so what happened not long ago was that, unfortunately, her great-grandmother passed over, and it was very peaceful passing and everything. And I didn't want my daughter to go to the funeral because I just felt in my body that she is so sensitive and there'd be so much tears, and we can do our own ceremony for her. And she was upset because it was like she wanted to go. And I said, okay, we'll go out in the garden, I said, and now you go and speak to Nanny Beryl and you ask her what she thinks you should do and what she would suggest for you. So she went out and you tried to talk to her like you would always talk to her when she was alive. And so she did, and she came back, Mummy, she said that she doesn't want to see me sad. She doesn't want me to cry. So she wants me to just talk to her when I want to talk to her. and not go to the funeral because it's too sad for me. I said, okay, good. Then you have your answer.
So beautiful.
And so I thought it was beautiful because I trust her to trust that. And obviously she will be this way. My husband is also very intuitive and spiritual in that sense. So, of course, my children, they're going to have this. But, so she felt empowered and happy with the answer and wasn't cross with me anymore because she couldn't go to the funeral. And we did our own ceremony and with the balloons and everything for Nanny. So it was just beautiful.
Perfect. That's a perfect way to teach a child about something very sad, which is the death of someone they love. And yet to tune in and get, because we're facing this, my mother's very old, and my daughter and I are talking about these very things. How will we deal with it, whatever. And I think you have, a lot of people who wake up, then they bring in children who are awake. I mean, it's a really win-win situation. The child grows up in the environment that it's safe to learn to tune into angels and see spirit and talk to spirit and communicate in this way. And, they may not want to talk about it at school, sadly, because they might get crucified there. But at home, it's okay and it's great. And unless you go to like a Rudolf Steiner school, which maybe you would be able to. But anyway, this is changing. The world is evolving. We are waking up. We are certainly tuning in. Thank you, caller, for your call, and we wish you well on your mediumship course tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
For you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome. Gennye, we have 11 minutes left, and I need about 4 or 5 of those minutes to finish the show, maybe even more, because the ending of the song is about 4 minutes, the last one. So let's talk about your Wealth Academy. Let's just go there, because tell us, how do people sign up? Have you got a workshop? How does it work?
Okay, so I have a free Facebook group called the Holistic Wealth Academy. Many of the people I work with are, they are spiritual entrepreneurs or healers or light workers.
Right.
I have a 6-week program that I run twice a year, which is actually a business program for spiritual entrepreneurs. So it involves spiritual practices in the program. It's online, but it also has a lot of just really good business skills, learning business skills in there that you kind of just need to know to start up. So it is a beginner course as such, but what I would say probably is the people coming on it is probably people who has got a lot of qualifications and they just don't really know how to set the business up. So they won't be beginners as such, but they may not be sure how to start it all up. So that's the course that runs twice a year in April and September. Okay. And then I'm planning, I do my Facebook Lives. I invite people to come and join the Academy. I try to give as much, not just information, but share what is out there and give people guidance on how to run their businesses and what is coming up for myself as well through this journey, so that they feel inspired and encouraged to get on with it. So that's the idea. My future vision for it is to grow it a lot bigger and have more training for the people, more support and so on. So I only just started it this year, so it's kind of a baby, really. But the idea is to make it, a big platform for and a lot of help and support.
Okay, Gennye.
And trainings.
Let me give some of these because we're running out of time. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for coming on Cafe Esoterica Radio and spreading your gorgeous light everywhere. It really was a joy to interview you. You're very
thank you.
welcome. Facebook.com/Gennye, Gennye, Rainbow Anderzon is your Facebook page, right?
Yeah, Gennye Lion, Rainbow Anderzon.
Oh, because it didn't come out that way. Okay, Gennye Lion. And then
maybe it didn't come out that way. Yeah.
Okay, and then we have Instagram. You're on www.instagram.com, Gennye Lion, Gennyeelion. And then we have, again, the website, which is www.rainbowcenter. Center is spelled the British way, folks, CENTRE, for soulpotential.net. And if you want to know more, click any of those links and you will find Gennye and you'll be able to talk to her and book a session with her, which would be lovely.
Yeah. So I do something called a soul breakthrough call. So it's actually a 45-minute. We identify some blocks and then we do a little clearing, and then we talk about solutions. So it's a free coaching call, if you like, that I do for people that need some guidance and need some help with their spiritual journey.
I'm going to send my daughter to you. I am, definitely, because she's just graduated university and she's not quite sure what she wants to do. And I think listening to Mommy, she wants someone else to tell her. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Every mother knows what I'm talking about.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Gennye, thank you so much. God bless you. Namaste. I must finish the show now, or we'll run out of time. Thank you again. You've been a delight. You are really a spiritually awake woman, and God bless you. You're fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show.
But let's stay in touch, hey? So I'll catch you another time. Yeah, I'll catch you another time.
Okay.
Should I hang up now? Because
no, you can hang on.
I want to listen to you. Yeah.
I'm just gonna. I do this thing called In This Metaphysical Moment, and I'm just gonna read it, and then put on the music, and we're out. So this is God Bless the Child That's Got Its Own. You know the song, and it goes.
Thank you.
So I've written this. This is my take on everything. What does it take to create the life of joy? We each have a purpose, and we come into our lives with inbuilt dreams and goals. But what happens when they don't manifest the way we need them to? If a person has a heart filled with dreams, does this automatically mean they will be fulfilled? Sometimes it is a lesson for the soul to only get the silver in life instead of the gold. But each soul chooses often to help others or to work in jobs that heal or help with little pay or glory. Sometimes the work is its own reward. But when you are hungry, you need money. In this metaphysical moment, I search my path where I can succeed in all areas of my life's purpose with the money I need to live a good life while still serving others. The old adage of suffering for your art or your divine work is no longer applicable. Suffering is not even optional. It is the ego's need to be right about something. So today, I release the ego's need to enslave me to poverty consciousness, and I fly upwards, soaring to the heights of abundance, while using my powers wisely. Love all, serve all, abundance for all. That's it, folks. We're out. That was my In This Metaphysical Moment. Again, check Gennye out. And we're leaving you with this lovely little ditty called Going Higher by Ben Song. And we'll see you next week with Greg Prescott from in5d.com. And Greg is wonderful, and everyone knows who he is. So we are really looking forward to that. See you then. Here we go. Going Higher. And that's it. We're out. Thank you again for listening. Come back next week with Greg Prescott from in5d.com. Namaste, everyone. And thank you, Gennye. Goodbye. God bless.